So it may surprise you, but when it comes to new tech, I'm often a very slow adopter. I like to kind of wait and see if we work the kinks out, see how these things play out. And it's definitely been true with AI. And I will say I tend to lean with the group that this will destroy humanity somehow. I do have concerns with our kids as far as I get it makes things easier. But also have concerns about that fight part of our brains where, we had to work through and challenge and go through the struggle, and we're going to not develop those parts that we might need to solve larger problems. However, I did recently discover some cool things, and granted, I'm late to the game, so you may already know these things, but main thing being, I know sometimes when you face limitations and struggles in generating and creating things, or you're out a lot of time and cost when it comes to resources and handouts for your students. And so I was playing with ChatGPT, and I get there's a lot of them. There's Magic School, there's all sorts of things, and I know over the next coming years we'll have lots of conversations about this. But I just wanted to show you just a couple of kind of proof of concept things to get your brain rolling, and then if you want to sit and talk, we can talk more. So a couple of things. The first thing I did was just say generate a worksheet with 10th grade Teichs-Align equations. So again, it was just kind of a quick thing. I wasn't very specific, and just wanted to see what it'd do. And it took a matter of seconds, and it did it. It generated it, has the equations, and then at the bottom, it even told me which Teichs that I hit. And so a couple things with this. Again, this is proof of concept. You may not be a 10th grade math teacher, but what I want you to see is it knows the Teichs. It'll align them with the Teichs. It'll tell you which Teichs you're hitting, so if you need to document that and those things. And then I was even asked me, do I want an answer key? Which I was able to tell it yes. And it asked me, do I want to add some real world problems to it? Which I said, sure. So it added my answer key, and then it gave me some real world problems to mix in. Okay. And so just kind of seeing, it will generate things. It generates them fairly quickly. It'll also offer answer keys. I did another one for social studies, but I asked for World War II with maps. And it gave me some maps. Now, I will say it's weird. When I've asked it to do it, a lot of times it'll link to the picture, but it won't actually embed it well because I've asked it to create a quiz with the map embedded a couple times, similar to what you would see on the test, star or whatever. But it does give you the link to where you can go download it, but you can say I had this. And then I realized, oh wait, I forgot about the Teichs. So I said, can you align this to 11th grade Teichs? And it did it. So a couple of things. You can continue to improve it. So just another kind of thing to think about. So, again, it's quick, answer keys, all these kinds of things, shows you the Teichs. But also, as you kind of know more about your content, you can also improve and change your prompts and continue to work and figure it out until it aligns with what you want. Okay? And then you can see it's also asking me about labeled maps and things of that nature. So images are possible as well, and you can link to that. And so you start to think about the possibilities, whether you're teaching kindergarten or you're teaching seniors, we can work with images, graphics, maps, Teichs alignment, answer keys, so you can start to see the pieces of the puzzle you can put together. I also like, you'll see as I go through the tabs, it keeps kind of your history, so you can kind of store it and do things of that nature. Now, I did get curious, so I understand that different assignments, different grade levels have different needs, so I was just curious. So I said, can you create a Teichs-Align reading worksheet with cute pictures? Now, I'll be honest, I was hoping for more of like a reading response thing, and I'm sure if you said, can I put a reading passage, then it would do it. And it took it a second, but it did. It created this image. You can see it's got clip art, it's a line, it's got nice little blanks. And so I know a lot of times there's those things where it's like, well, I feel like I need to go to teacher, pay teacher to do this. It generated it and it did it. And again, this was just one prompt. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. And then so you may have to work with it. And I will tell you that the one training I did go through on this, I was working on just for fun playing with it. I did like a GoGuardian. I was like, can you make me a GoGuardian training worksheet or document? It did it. But then I started realizing it was one. And then by the time I was done, I think I'd said, can you create it from the perspective of a technology director for teachers in the classroom with bullet points? I got pretty long and detailed. And by the time I'd worked through it, it generated something very organized and great. So you may have to play with the prompts, but you think about it, the time you're playing with those prompts is probably a lot less than the time you'd spend finding clip art, aligning, sending things to the back, looking up maps and embedding them. And I'm getting, that was from another page. Looking up maps, embedding them, things like that, typing out these equations, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So this one, I started playing a little bit because I wasn't sure. I was really curious. And I said, can you generate a TEKS-Align worksheet, quadratic equations, 20 questions, so again, you can get real specific in Google Docs format. Now, as it went through it, I did notice it started asking me some questions. And like you can see, it says you want to align it with these TEKS. And so sometimes if you mess up, it helps you. It told me what they were, created a mix. And again, you could adjust that mix and go, hey, that's great. Can you actually make it 5 of these, 3 of these, whatever. And so it did it. And then it does these things. Now, I noticed, though, it got to the end, and it said, would you like me to format? It said something about the Google Doc is coming or whatever. And I waited and waited, and it didn't work. And so I Googled, and it was like, well, it can't really create Google Docs, even though it said it was going to create a link for it. So I said, can you do it in a Word doc? And it said, sure, I'll put a link to download in a second. Maybe I was being impatient. And so what I did was I said, can you just make this in text that I can copy? Here it is. So see, it's saying, I'll prep it as a Word doc. I'll prep it as a clean to Google Doc. I was waiting, I was impatient. So I finally said, can you just generate this in text I can copy and paste? And it did. And so when I got to the bottom, there was a copy button right here, and it copied. Now I will tell you, it copied the whole thing, and I pasted it. Now because it's an HTML format, you may have to clean it up because I think I hit the wrong copy button. So anyways, you might have to clean some things up. It's an HTML format, so like in this case, it turned exponents into this. You know, with map symbols, it may change some things. You may have to tweak and play with it. But it came out pretty clean. So then I got curious, and I was like, can you make this a Word? And then it asked me after that, would you like this in a Word doc? I said, sure. It took it a matter of seconds. So I don't know why before it almost froze or didn't do anything, and then it worked. But so all that to say, it did create the Word doc. I downloaded it. I opened it. It opened pretty clean on my Chromebook. You can see I've got my exponents. I've got my things. I've got my stuff here. The reason I did it this way, one, I taught high school math, so I could think of the things to type. Two, I know, symbols and things like that often could be the most difficult thing. So I was like, if it can handle this, you imagine what it can handle in science, ELAR, social studies, CTE, all those other things that we do. Okay, so a couple things. Can create Word docs. It will generate in PDF. It will come up with answer keys. It will align TEKS. And if you're looking for anything from just basic images and maps to full-on, almost cute graphic design, it will do it. And so I encourage you to explore it, again, as a time-saving thing. And then if you start to think about it, if you've got a PDF format, we could talk about Adobe Acrobat so you could edit those PDFs. Or if you've got Word doc formats, then you have stuff that you can store in your drive, and you now have starting points to make copies, to duplicate for quizzes, for assignments, for handouts, reviews, whatever. So again, high quality things, TEKS-Align, answer keys, time saving, but also resource saving for you. I hope this helps. Again, there are other tools out there. You probably may know some, but if you want some help or to talk through this, let me know.